Can refusing a breathalyzer make things worse? What I would say about refusing a breathalyzer depends on where the officer is in a DUI investigation. For example, if you have gotten to the point in your DUI stop where that officer has probable cause and can now move forward to getting a breath, blood, or urine sample, you're going to need to comply with that because there's something called the admin per se law that provides for a civil suspension of your license for 1 year if you refuse a blood, breath, or urine test. So you have to kind of walk a fine line here because you have to comply with admin per se in order to keep your license. However, if that officer really didn't have probable cause to demand blood, breath, or urine, you run the risk of a prosecutor later saying that you consented to give that evidence, even though they are really requiring it of you. Here is how I think it's the best way to thread that needle, is if an officer is asking you to submit to a blood, breath, or urine, and quite frankly, most of the time it's going to be a blood test. I've quite frankly never seen somebody be subjected to giving a urine sample in these situations. They can use a breathalyzer, but it's more frequently blood. You are going to want to say, if that's what you're requiring of me, I will submit, because that allows defense attorney later to argue that you didn't actually consent to that test, that really you were submitting pursuant to admin per se. And so your consent has to be voluntarily and freely given. So you just don't want to set yourself up later for an officer who maybe did not have legal cause to demand those tests of you for anybody to be saying that you simply agreed to it. That is how you should walk that line in complying with what the officer told you to do and not losing your license, but then also not having anyone claim that you simply agreed to give up a blood, breath, or urine sample later.